Okay, that's the fuel that I pulled out of the tank. When I first fired it up, it's a 55 bird. When I first fired the bird up in the glass, there's the glass. I started getting all that crap you can see in there in the bottom of that glass. And I go, uh-oh. So I pulled the fuel out, and you can see this is after it's settled down quite a bit. So it's pretty much toast. Okay, here's what was left in the bottom of that bucket when I finished up. And this is about a quarter of what I flushed out of this thing onto the driveway when I was cleaning the tank. Okay, here you can see inside the tank. This is really bad. I rinsed a bunch of it out. I tried some detergent in the tank. Really made absolutely no difference at all. It still looked just like this. This is actually after I've run hot detergent water through it. So it looks like we've got quite the mess. Ideally, I should probably change the tank. You can get stainless steel tanks, you can get galvanized tanks, but you know, I really hate to put the aftermarket stuff in because a lot of times they're not all that great. They're thinner gauge and so on. But you can see by this stuff that this is really nasty stuff. So I'm going to try a little experiment using laundry detergent, lye, and heat and see if we can get this stuff off of here. Okay, here's the fuel tank, and I'll show you how I've set this up to try to clean this tank out. Essentially what I'm trying to do is hot tank this fuel tank for the bird. Now I want to emphasize before we start this, I'm going to have an open flame here, so I've done some very thorough cleaning of this tank with hot detergent water and then rinsed, because we want to make sure there's no fuel at all in this thing, or you could get yourself a nice big kaboom. So here's one of the things I'm using. This silly stuff, which is very simply lye. Now you're really not supposed to use lye on galvanized, but I do. I'm using it anyway. It doesn't seem to damage it as long as I don't leave it in there, because I have this thing set up and I'm going to be heating it up and actually boiling water in it. So I'm going to put some of this stuff in there, and then I'm going to use Tide dishwashing detergent also. Now, I'm not using any specific amount, but hoping that's going to be enough. I've got in the tank, I've got about 5 gallons of water. And so now I'm putting the Happy Laundry detergent in there. And I tend to use quite a bit of it. Tide seems to be about the best stuff for this kind of thing. It's worked for me before. So now I'm going to heat this up, and I'll show you the setup I've got for heating it. Okay, here's the setup. The burner's on right now. This is a gas burner. It's an old conversion burner is what it is. You can see the burner in there. Lighting's not real good, but because I've angled the tank down, because I'm trying to do this side of the tank. I really don't want to fill the whole thing up. I don't think that's the best way to do it, but I've got lye in there, I've got detergent in there, and 5 gallons of water, and I'm going to bring it to a boil. And it actually does a pretty good job. I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. Because I've actually done all 4 sides of this. I put 5 gallons of water in it, I've done the end, and I've done both sides, and then I've done the other end. And we'll see what I end up with when we're done. Okay, here you can see that it's boiling.
big bubbly stuff, and I got soap suds coming out, and I'm going to let this thing boil for about 15 minutes, maybe a little bit longer. One thing I want to emphasize, you have to have enough water in this tank so that your burner doesn't go over a spot with no water in it, because it'll just immediately destroy the tank. It'll overheat it, take the galvanize off, and it's done. So there it is, bubbling and boiling, and we'll look at it when it's all done.
Okay, here's what it looks inside the tank once we're done. There's still a little bit of stuff in there, and there's a lot of rust spots. I'm not sure if they're stains or what they are. Anyway, that's how it looks, and we're going to paint it and put her back in the car.